Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Start Guide, where I make a bunch of mistakes and you follow my guide by example, apparently. So we're coming right down to the wire here. Tail end of the series of fragment events. Maybe I'll scroll down to that first. Um, so here's here's where we're at. I have completed it with BTPD. I completed it with BTPJ. Those accounts are fully loaded. They have lots of resources. It was easy enough to do it there. With the mini account, uh, I do not have a lot of silver. You can probably see that up there at the top. I've got 400K, so we need to make more. But as luck would have it, we also have Dungeon Divers to do. We also have the Spider tournament to do, and Dungeon Divers has to be done today. This is the final day for that. So hopefully I complete Dungeon Divers today and the Spider tournament. I think we're close on that too. I'll check that in a minute. And then Artifact Enhancement is just taking all our silver, dumping it into that, and finally we're ready to go. And my notes are all over the place. Basically, I I took the things that were 3 and 4 and other things like that, and I keep moving stuff around, and I think my OCD just wants number 5 to be 5 starring Kale and 6 to be 6 starring Kale just because the numbers line up. But maybe that's just me being all OCD at you. I don't know. But basically, the sort out teams, this move down here, I created just a second tier list of things to do because I feel like it doesn't really go in the I mean, we could list them here, but it's kind of a different thing. This is like a priority of tasks that you need to do, and you want to start with your dailies, your clan boss, your missions and stuff. But basically, your teams. This is the teams in order of importance right now, the way I see it. Basically, you start with the clan boss team. This is the most important team in the game, and it always will be. And by clan boss, I guess I mean demon lord. So demon lord clan boss. Um, because then you also have Hydra Clan boss that probably will be somewhere like I don't know. I mean, maybe Arena is 4. I don't know. You're going to be doing Arena sooner, so 4 could be Hydra CB, and Doom Tower is kind of a dungeon, so we could even say like dungeon slash Doom Tower. Um, am I getting cut off on the notes? Sort of. But it's okay because I'm here to guide you through it. I'm here to talk about it. So maybe I'll start by talking about what I've got here. So for the Demon Lord clan boss, this this is something very intensive. The clan boss is going to be the kind of thing where ultimately you're going to want to speed tune your clan boss team. It's actually clan boss time right now, come to think of it. So we could do it while we talk about it. It's still at 0 seconds. So that gives us just enough time to talk about what we did yesterday. Uh, I think I hit easy again. One key, 6 million. I hit this one. Oh, and it's too late. It's gone. But it was great. Um, oh, I thought I hit hard. I had a busy night yesterday. I forgot to hit hard. Oh, well, that sucks. Let's just quickly go in and use a key right now. So what do we get? This is the night chest. And we're getting gear again. It's a very low chance to pop out a shard. This is why it's so important to figure out clan boss early, because you want as soon as possible to get as far as possible in clan boss. So 3.4 million, 3 million from Kale, zero point 0.4 from everybody else. And this shows the importance of having good support and good damage on a champion. So Kale's in lifesteal, and so is Shield Guard. But Shield Guard is just not staying up for very long. Uh, okay, easy. What do you got for me? Crappy gauntlets. I mean, I don't know how crappy they are, but usually they're pretty crappy. Like, yeah, let's just sell that. I'm never ever gonna build that. And I'll just get in quickly. 5 million? I'm open for 5 million here. Hey, it's 6. Cool. Wow, easy really is easy. So basically, priority 1 is the Demon Lord clan boss, but that isn't really to say that it's the first team that you're going to be able to set up right at the start of the game before you do anything else. I mean, you're already going to have a dungeon team. You're already going to have an arena team. And once Hydra unlocks, we're already going to have a Hydra team. It's just going to be whoever your best champions are at first. But as you progress through the game, you're going to find champions kind of get specialized. And often, the reason why many content creators suggest that you take Kale as your starter is just because if you take Kale, he's the perfect DPS for Clan Boss because he includes the poisons. If you chose one of the other three, um, like Beanie chose one of the other three, he restarted so that he could choose something else because he wanted to add diversity, and I really commend him for that. He went with a Thel. Um, and Ethel brings something else to the table. Ethel actually brings the weaken, so I'd say as far as DPS goes for bosses, she's also bringing it because she's got that. It adds a level of things she brings. So I'd say Kale, but you know what? If you chose Ethel, she's just about as good. Um, Even Galek brings some debuffs. It's just that there's better debuffs available right at the start of the game. That's I think why everybody craps on Galek. And Elhain is basically just straight up damage. And the issue with Elhain is when you start the game, your gear's not good. When she has good gear, Elhain is the best. At the start of the game, you're not going to have the best gear. You just aren't. And that's what makes it hard. And that's why Kale and Ethel are probably stronger options for a starting game. But eventually, your Galek and your Elhain will shine. Eventually. But for dungeons, you want your DPS, you want your crowd control and your turn meter control, and you want your support. So for support, I'm going to include just all versions of support. You have your positive buffs, you have your heals, you have your revives. I wanted to get the one from the referral link. So this, why is this light on? I don't see anything here for me to do. Thanks for nothing, game. Um, I'm just gonna grab these shards because, of course, you know I'm kind of OCD. I don't need them anymore, so I gotta watch my silver because we do need to build stuff up. Anything free, of course, is free. But let's say I managed to get Djamarsa. She's not going to be in here. You know, it doesn't matter. I gushed about Djamarsa the last couple of days. For now, let's say it's Grinner. Grinner, it doesn't necessarily have a lot of heals. This is kind of my issue with Grinner is he's already sort of a hybrid reviver. He doesn't have the strongest revive, but he does have it. And I just went ahead and put him in regen so that he keeps himself alive with regen. You start the game on day, well, you start the game on a track, a 7-day track for gear. It's lifesteal every day until you get um, Shaman. But now that Rathalos is going on, I think new accounts are not getting Shaman, and she may not show up until after the Rathalos thing completes. So you may have to wait 7 days before, or 7 additional days before you get your Reviver. If that's the case, then it's probably even more imperative that you go after Djamarsa because Shaman has the same issue that Grinner does. She kind of has other stuff other than the revive. It's not like she's got a lot of heals. If you look at the even just the Orcs faction, way better than Shaman is Tagor. I wish this was the guy that they gave you because this guy, he's got a revive for the whole party. It's also 5 turn cooldown when booked, but it's the whole party. He's got a more useful aura because it toughens the party up. He's got a passive that toughens the party up. Um, he's got the increased speed if the party's moving faster, and it's a heal as well. And you want to be able to heal HP and the increased defense buff. That also protects the party. So this guy is like a good proper support. I mean, look at all that stuff cooked into his kit. And same faction and everything. Plarium made a much, much better epic, but is still insisting that the one we're going to start with is the crappy one. Oh well. And there's a third one, in fact. There's old Hermit Jorg, and he's kind of in between. He at least has the double revive. It's on a 5-turn cooldown, so again, his abilities are a little bit better. But anyway, that's what I mean with support. So here's what I want. I want to go after Djamarsa. I've included a link for anybody that happens to want to restart as well, if you want to help me out. Otherwise, I'm sure I'll figure it out. But as far as the events yesterday were concerned, I managed to complete it without Djamarsa, so there's no longer a big rush. But let's just look at Djamarsa for a moment. She has a super powerful A1. It's basically the mini version of what Sify can do. She can sleep and she can decrease speed. It's situational. Like it depends on if you get Chronom. It's a whole thing. Going after Chronom, honestly, I don't recommend. It's way too much work and it's kind of unfun. And by the time you get him, you probably got something better anyway. But it's hard to say. But we've got the revive, we've got the heals, we've got a cooldown refresh, and we have another aura that improves everybody's defense. Anyway, this is what I mean by support. Often they're called support, but I'm talking about healing support for the team. And if I bring up my notes here again, then and this is kind of cut off. I'm sorry about that. I need to restructure my notes. Is the specialist. And we're talking specifically for dungeons. So for various dungeons, you might need a specialist. So if we go to the dungeon tab and we look at, say, the artifact dungeons, which are these four. You've got Dragon, Ice Golem, Spider, and Fire Knight. For Dragon, your specialist is probably just DPS. Instead of bringing a specialist, you probably just bring a second DPS. So um, let's say you have Kale and Frozen Banshee. You might just bring both of them along with the support that you need to clear the waves. If you're dealing with Ice Golem, your DPS probably becomes more about placing debuffs like poison and HP burn than it does about doing damage, because when you fight the Ice Golem, he hits you super duper hard in retaliation for dropping his HP to a certain threshold. So the specialist in this case might actually be poisoner, and you might be bringing a bunch of poisoners. You might bring somebody who's really good at clearing the waves, but then dials back the damage when you reach the Ice Golem and really only goes after the Ice Golem minions, because you don't want to hit the Ice Golem too hard too quickly, or he will kill you. Then there's Spider, at which point you're probably looking at somebody who brings uh, turn meter control and crowd control. So your specialist role might actually be a double of crowd control or turn meter control, because you have tons of spiderlings coming after you. You have the spider going quickly, devouring her own spiders, and then healing herself. So you might want, for a specialist, for example, somebody that brings, and heal reduction doesn't work on Spider, if I recall correctly, so never mind that. But you do have turn meter control, because if you slow her down, you can affect her with decreased speed as well. So for Spider, you'd want things like decrease speed, turn meter control, decrease attack, so that she isn't doing so much damage. And obviously, weaken and decrease defense means you can damage her faster. HP burn, especially if you have an area of effect HP burn. Like the best champion in the game you can start with if you care about Spider is going to be Mordecai. And there's a special code for Mordecai. It's just Mordecai is the code. And I notice a lot of the content creators seem to go for Mordecai instead of Sun Wukong. I assume the reason they did that is because they don't want to use Legos. So then they're relegated to, okay, who's the best epic? And I think really there are three choices for the best epic to start with. And those three choices because I want to talk about the Fire Knight. Let's talk about the Fire Knight. Okay. The first choice would be Allure, and she would be your Fire Knight specialist because the Fire Knight has his shield that he puts up. You need multiple hits against it. So if you have Allure, she's a demon right here. She'd be your Fire Knight specialist. It's not like she's the only one, and if you don't have Allure, there are other specialists you need, but Fire Knight is the dungeon where it's most imperative that you have a specialist. So for her, often you get to the Fire Knight, you switch off everything else. Like this is good for helping clear the waves. This I never use this. I have Allure on my main account. I use her in various things. I don't even use this move. And often when I get to the boss, it's basically just the A1 because man, is this ever a good A1. She attacks 3 times. It says at random, but if you're dealing with a boss, you're hitting the boss basically at that point. So it's 3 hits against the boss, and each hit does 25% turn meter on a critical hit. So basically, that just means make sure she has a 100% crit rate, make sure she has accuracy, and then as much speed as you can get, and then she's doing her job. And she will be your Fire Knight specialist. She could be your Dark Fae specialist. She'll work in lots of areas, good against lots of bosses, but especially critical there. Your specialist for Fire Knight could also be, and you might be able to guess who I'm going to go for. It might be Coldheart. She's another good specialist. And the champions that I'm going over now, these are champions that I guess I'm kind of hoping we pull at some point during the run because really this is going to make life way easier. But Coldheart has a great specialist move here that's perfect for Spider and perfect for Fire Knight. And her A1, 4 hits. That's practically unheard of for any champion in the game, but it's especially good for Fire Knight, and heal reduction, which is another specialist move for Fire Knight. So basically, Coldheart is a Fire Knight specialist, she is a Spider specialist, and she's a rare, so she's super easy to build. And I'm going to go over a third. I don't think there's a code for this guy, but he's just a really good third um, specialist for Clan Boss, and it would be Royal Guard. Not Clan Boss. We're talking about Fire Knight, Gavin. For Fire Knight, it's kind of the same thing. He's got a Quadra hitter, although it's one of his cooldown moves, but you basically just turn it off until you get to the Fire Knight so that you make sure you get his Quadra shot. If you time it right, he's the one breaking the Fire Knight's shield and immediately inflicting decreased speed to slow him right down. And this does proportional damage just like Coldheart's move. And his A1 even places decreased defense. So he's bringing a lot of good stuff to help with Fire Knight. The caveat being Fire Knight 20 is often the one that you want to farm, and Royal Guard and Allure are both the wrong affinity. But even being the wrong affinity, there's still really, really good champions, even on the wrong affinity. Anyway, uh, the other two best starting epics then, I'll go with another one, is Deacon Armstrong. I think there are even people in my clan that went for this guy because again, a really, really solid champion. He's got a speed aura. He's got time compression, which is perfect for Spider. You're slowing down the Spiderlings. You're speeding up the party. Um, he's got the decreased defense, which basically, when it books to a 3-turn cooldown and you get the free turn off this, it's basically decreased defense for 2 turns every other turn. It's ridiculous. And then he has Leech in addition. Leech is super important. This is why I went through all the crazy hoops to go after Zinogre, because we need that Leech. If you don't have Leech, basically the only other option for healing against Clan Boss. Oh, and Mordecai's here. This is the other epic we're going to talk about. But basically, we need the Leech. We need it. So this is the third of the best options. And I think this is the one most of the content creators are picking specifically for this move. He's got an AoE HP burn. So HP burn on everything. It'll just burn through the spider. This guy makes spiders so much easier. Now, I'm going to show you my spider team. I don't have AOHP burn. Instead, what I've got is Kale. That's it. I'm just using Kale for the damage, and I'm using Sun Wukong as the spider tank. I'll show you how it works. It's actually a lot of fun. But anyway, Mordecai also has times undoing, so there's more turn meter manipulation. So it's kind of like what Deacon's got. Deacon, I'd say, is more of a generalist, which is why maybe he's the one I'd recommend. I could see Deacon getting use everywhere, like all dungeons, clan boss, just everywhere. So he'd be a generalist that you could pick, whereas Mordecai, Fire Knight, sorry, Spider Specialist, and Allure would be the Fire Knight Specialist. But they're such important dungeons, and they are so difficult normally that I really would recommend doing that. Um, my arena tokens are full, so let's target a team, and it's reset as well. Um, I haven't updated this team in a while, but basically this is my main. I'm pretty proud of this team. It's very fast. I think it has the equivalent of about 250 speed to it. So it's really rare that I get outsped. And at this point in arena, speed is king. You basically just want to go first, and you want to kill the nuke as hard as possible, or whoever your starter is. Or if you got lucky and pulled somebody even better than a starter than that guy. Basically, you want to speed into your best nuker, and you want your nuker taking as many turns as possible. We have a weak affinity against him, but it didn't matter because we were so fast that we just kept hitting him over and over and over and over again. And this is what I mean about speed. Speed is king. Um, hey, what did we win? Probably got something good for being in silver 3. We got some gears, some gems. Okay. Not as exciting as last time. Last time we got a shard. This time, not so much. Tag team has also reset. We get more gold bars. We can head to the bazaar. We can't purchase this yet. Can only get one in every 24 hours. Gotta remember to get my Drexstar fragments. Everybody, remember to get your Drexstar fragments. He's such a good champion. I mean, basically, if you're having trouble in a lot of areas of the game, let's talk about why Drexstar is good. I'm just gonna I'm not necessarily gonna be too much doing too much playing. I'm noticing like how far are we? I haven't done any playing yet. I've just been talking about various things in the game to watch out for, various goals that you might have. But we could just say that that's what this episode's going to be about. I mean, it'll be labeled properly. But basically, Drexstar, he can be a Fire Knight specialist because he's got the triple hitter. He inflicts HP burn basically on anybody that even attacks him. He's got a big AoE for crowd control against waves as well. So this guy could be perfect for Fire Knight. He will help take down the waves. The actually the decrease attack, because of the way it works, you can only place it if you place the provoke. So that's the one caveat. You see the decrease attack here, but that doesn't mean that you get it. And it's kind of unfortunate. But he has an increase accuracy for all allies, 70 everywhere. So that means the threshold for having enough accuracy gets lowered everywhere. And this is a super good aura. It'll help you so much. Like against Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss, I think the required accuracy is 230, if I'm not completely off my rocker. And this lowers the required accuracy to 160, right? As long as you know where your accuracy thresholds are. If you're ever wondering what the accuracy threshold is for a boss, by the way, you can go to hellhades.com. I'm not affiliated with the website. I just use it a lot because it's a really good website. Hell Hades has something called a stages tool. I might even put that in. Um, we'll say when in doubt, HH stages tool. You can also use the optimizer there. I've never used it though. I like to just kind of make my decisions in game. My understanding with the optimizer is it will use an AI to kind of make your decision for you, but then you still have to go into the game and make all the changes, and then you have to remember the various pieces of gear that are pointed out. So the people that use it, they swear by it, but I don't. But anyway, Uh, you got 3 hits. Great for Fire Knight. You got the HP burn thing, which means this if you can turn him into a spider tank, make sure the spiderlings are hitting Drexthar. You're going to be inflicting HP burn on all the spiderlings, and the more spider monsters, minions, are on fire, the more it burns the Spider Queen. It gets all of them. We don't have that on this account. So I'm going to show you right now what my dungeon team looks like. And this is what I've been doing for let's see how we're doing, in fact, in the spider tournament. Because once we finish the spider tournament, we could probably change gears to something else, but for dungeon divers, the 4 artifact dungeons that I was going on about earlier, that's basically the best place to farm gear. So if you're trying to complete dungeon divers and you have one particular dungeon that you can complete fast and at a high level, then that's the dungeon that you just want to spam to get through it when you're coming right down to the wire. In our case, that dungeon may in fact be Spider at this point, although the caveat is that the team is not fast. The team takes about 4 minutes. Anyway, we're not there yet. We need to get to 1650. Grab this stuff. Have we even unlocked the area yet that you use this stuff? No, it unlocks at level 42, which we're close to. So we have material to try to ascend our champions. We want to ascend our Kale. I haven't signed in yet. And forgive me for that. This is really the first thing that I should do in a given day. Sign in. Let my clan know that I care. Hello, clan. I care. Oh, and it's energy. So now we're over on energy again. Humph. Okay. So we'll go to the dungeon. And the little double thing here takes us straight to Spider. So here we go. I'm just going to do a multi-battle because we're going to be doing it on auto anyway. Is there anybody I need to level? They're all still leveling, actually. So I haven't actually tested this to see if this is a true 2-man team or if I'm getting a little bit of help from the 3 that are here to level. But for the most part, Kale is doing the work and Sun Wukong is kind of the scapegoat. But let's just start it. So basically, every time a time tick goes by, I'm not sure what you'd call this in game, but it's a clock tick. With every clock tick of the game, 2 spiderlings drop. So you can attack these spiderlings, but they're just going to keep regenerating. At low levels of spider, say, I mean, I'd be picking an arbitrary number, like 10 and below, but basically at whatever level, if you can kill all the spiderlings constantly, then that is a meta in and of itself. Because if there are no spiderlings left when she gets a turn, she can't heal herself. She can't hit as hard, I don't think. But basically, when these spiderlings are out, they're going to start coming after your champions. So far, my team has been doing a good enough job of playing keep away. Hoskarol is actually in a provoke set, and he has stun cooked into his kit, and he's got these increased defenses, so he does a lot. This is why I'm prioritizing building Hoskarol, but right now he's just a 4-star. He's probably going to go down quickly. It looks like he's actually the first target, so he's dead. I had Apothecary here, and it was lasting a little longer, but basically he got to level 40, and I wanted to continue leveling champions. So that's kind of the decision to who to place. Rathalos is in the lead because he's got that 30% attack in dungeons aura. So Rathalos is here just for the aura. He's probably going to die next. Although he's the right affinity for this dungeon, so he's probably going to get avoided by the spiderlings, and they'll go after Kale as soon as they take out Sun Wukong. Using Sun Wukong as a tank like this will only work if Kale is a worse affinity for the spiderlings to attack than Sun Wukong. So let's say we were doing a Force Spider run. The Force Spider and the Force Spiderlings, I guess just specifically the Spiderlings, they're all just going to go after kill because Sun Wukong's the wrong affinity, so it just won't work. But against Magic and Spirit, they would choose Sun Wukong. And for Force, that you don't need to consider affinity. It's just a sorry, for Void. For Void, you don't need to consider affinity because Void is just Void. It's kind of immune to all the affinity changes. But this is Spider10, and I have run Spider10 a whole bunch of times. I don't know what the count is, but it's well over 100 times now that I've run Spider10, and this team has never failed. So if you're struggling with Spider10, I'll maybe during the downtime, I don't know. I'm going to run this a few times just because I don't like being at full energy, and I'll find other things to talk about. It'll run in the background, and basically when we drop down to the point where we're regenerating energy again, then I'll show you guys the Kale build, because I think it's been a while since I showcased the gear that Kale is in. His gear's not even fully rolled up either, but being 6-starred makes a big difference. His accuracy is probably not even enough for this dungeon as well. Like you're seeing, he's getting poisons, but I think he's not getting as many as he should, because basically your accuracy should be about 10 times whatever level of dungeon you're running. That's usually the way it works out. It might be a little more complicated than that, but that's often the rule of thumb that I use. So by the time you're doing a level 20 dungeon, you want about 200 accuracy. If you're doing a level 10 dungeon like we're doing, you want 100 accuracy, and I think mine is closer to 70. But there's a little bit of variance. So if your accuracy is 70, but you're at level 10, you're still going to get a lot of the poisons through. You're just not going to get as many as you should. So here's the really good thing about Spider10 specifically. On the last screen, you probably noticed a 5 dropped out. You can randomly get 4-star or 5 stars, I believe. And normally, the allotment would be you sometimes get a 5-star. You usually get a 4-star. But in specifically Spider10, I don't know why this is. I don't know why it hasn't been patched. Maybe they don't know how. But I think they flipped something so that you're almost always getting a 5-star item from Dragon 10. And only occasionally getting a 4-star item. You still occasionally get the other things like bruise, shards. We got a bunch of shards yesterday while running Spider. I'm trying to remember offhand, but you guys saw the screen. You can even just go back in time and look at it, but I can't because I'm looking at the game right now. But I think we got 4 ancient shards, and we're just going to accumulate them now. But ancient shards can drop from dungeons, and I'm always happy when they do, even though you don't get points towards the Spider tournament for that. At least you got a shot at a champion. But basically, this is what my account's going to be doing all day. So I'm just going to leave this running. They're going to take out Spider. Let's see, how many 5s did we got? We got a 5. We got a 5. We got 2 5s dropping. We got tons of artifacts too. So this is also going to help us get all that silver that we need for the artifact enhancement event, which is the last one on the list. It's the last one on the list. Let me bring up the list. So we go back to here. So we got to do Dungeon Divers today. Spider tournament, I think, ends tomorrow, and I think artifact enhancement ends at around the same time. Accessories. Often they're worth somewhere upwards of 50,000 silver. So they're worth a huge amount. So if you're ever lacking in silver, Spider is really the dungeon you want to go to. And you probably want to push the dungeon that you can do quickly. It doesn't necessarily have to be Spider 10. Maybe you can get Spider 7 done a lot quickly. I'm sure I could do Spider 7 way quicker than Spider 10. But Spider 10 drops so many 5s that it's perfect to help me complete the Dungeon Divers event. And we need all these fragments, all of them. We can't miss a single one. So we got to go after all of them so that the mini can have Zinogre Blade Master. That's the name of the game. So I am gonna have this link in the description as well because here's the other champion that I really want to get. Um, I don't expect anybody to actually help me get it, and I also don't like the pyramid scheme nature of this game. So again, I am not trying to get anybody hooked on this game. I honestly would not wish this on anybody. So this is like if you're new and you're wondering whether or not you should play Raid Shadow Legends, don't run away. Run far away. Run fast. Do not get hooked on this game. This is the last gacha game that I'm ever going to play. I will say this. And I am deriving enjoyment from it, particularly because I've kind of found my stride as a content creator. I like this. I don't need a lot of followers. I think I've got 200 of you now. That's plenty, honestly. Um, I'm just enjoying being good at something, I guess. And I'm pretty good at this game. It's not like I'm the best at it, but I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at figuring out what needs to happen with various accounts. You just want advice. You could just sort of show up on my server and ask random questions. Lots of people have been doing that already. Yeah, I think it's cool. And you could also join one of our clans. We just had a new clan created yesterday. Beanie has created the BeanieBabies, and he's looking for members. You know what? I'm gonna link to his video in the description. I'm gonna maybe I'll make a note somewhere so that I don't forget. Um, Beanie Baby link below. That's not how you spell below, Gavin. So Beanie Baby link. It's below. I don't have it now. I don't know offhand what the link is because the link is going to be another thing that kind of looks like this. But yeah, basically, yeah, if you're looking to join a new clan, if you just joined, hey, why not join this brand new clan that just got created yesterday? While you're at it, you could uh, you could help a brother out and use my link so that we can both get free stuff, but more importantly, I can get Djamarsa because your free stuff isn't going to be as cool as Djamarsa. I think it's going to be like I think you get two pieces of I think you get two accessories, which, granted, are pretty difficult to get at the start of the game. Normally, like accessories are impossible to get because you have to do Spider to get the accessories. There's a second way to get accessories uh, right at the start of the game, and that's by doing clan quests. And you have to be in a clan that's sufficiently leveled that you can actually purchase the gear using the coins that you earn. So, for here's the full disclosure thing. If you join the Beanie Babies, your and I think it's plural. I think it's Beanie Babies. Uh, you're not going to have access to that yet, but that's part of the fun. You're going to be helping Beanie Senpai grow his account from the ground up, and that can be a lot of fun too. Whereas the BTPJ clan, first of all, we're kind of full. We may have room for one or two spots now that Beanie has started over, but yeah, I guess it's just a question of taste. Do you want to be part of a clan that's already reasonably well established but still geared towards early game, or would you rather be pushing the boundaries of a brand new clan? And honestly, both of them sound fun. I'd be tempted to start over as well, but I've just started over, and I like this account. I'm already attached to it, so I'm gonna keep riding this one at least until we get Shill of the Drunks on month 6, and even then, I think. Here, how are we doing for time? At the 6-month mark, I want to at least play for another week or two so that we can have some enjoyment of Shill of the Drakes. Here, let's turn this off. We can do other things. So this is what I'm talking about. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, 5. And I feel like this is probably supposed to be inverted, but it's not. And this is worth a ton of points because I think fours are maybe worth 4 points for the base item for Dungeon Divers, whereas fives are worth 7 for the base or something like that. They're double, or maybe it's going to be faster to just look, isn't it? But if we look at the events, ooh, the Lunar Festival is up. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Dungeon Divers. What do we have to reach? Oh my goodness, we got to reach 2,700. That is going to take like all of our energy. It's going to take all day. This is going to be terrible. This is why I do not recommend doing this series of events this early. It's completely derailed our progression. And I'm really looking forward to being done so we can get back to doing the progression the account needs. But the hope is that we can finish it. I'm sure it can be done. Because even if I run out of the extra energy tanks, at least we have some spare gems to count on as well. Because I followed your advice. I didn't blow the gems on extra shards. I managed to bypass that. So here's the scoring system for a 5. I think an uncommon 5 is the lowest thing. It looks like there's actually not much point difference. Maybe I was thinking of when completing the spider tournament. But anyway, you get some good stuff. So, Monster Path. There's 2 events here. So let's look through this stuff. This is probably going to be practically unreachable for us. Like we've acquired 7 points so far. How did we even get points? Level upgrades. So this is champion building and summoning. Summoning is probably out of the question. I mean, we don't even have this portal open yet for souls, right? But if we get some, I don't know, we could see what we could do. What is the big prize here? What's the point of all this? It's a Blade Master. Okay. And which one is he again? Is he the support one? Yeah, he's the support one. So Elatrion Blade Master. This guy looks like he'd actually be OP. I mean, I'd love to get him on this account. I probably can make sure I get him on the main, and that's probably it. Because my main has just tons and tons and tons of soul stones. I've been hoarding them. I just haven't been pulling them. Um, but you got the turn meter fill. You've got protected buffs. And yeah, you have a cleanse as well. So he cleanses, he places block debuffs, and it's protected if you're fighting a boss. So this is perfect for Hydra. It's perfect for any other bosses that are stealing your buffs, like Burgoth, the whatever his name is, the Scarab King in the Doom Tower. Oh, I want to talk about my Doom Tower team as well. So 43 minutes in, we got time. We got time. I can talk about Doom Tower, and if I don't have time, you know what? We can talk about it tomorrow because I do want to take a look at these new events, and I apologize if you've also already looked at them. But then again, a lot of the people following along in this series are new players, so this is wow. And imagine just getting a legendary champion and a 5-star soul for the legendary champion by clearing one event. And to think all you need is 120,000 for the bottom row, but then you also got to reach it. I don't even know how many this is going to be. It's probably like 200,000 points. What would that be? I mean, if you have these Eternal Soul Stones, you got a bunch of them. Like, I think my main account has 2, but I have a bunch of Immortal Soul Stones, and then I think I have like more than 500 Mortal Soul Stones. So, maybe. But on this account, this account, this event can probably just safely be ignored. It's also got lunar points, which I guess is for the other thing. Oh, this is a whole track. So we're going to be going after, oh man. And it's going to be tempting to do this because if we do everything on the track, we could be working towards a 5-star soul Oh, and it's right at the end of the track too. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have a serious decision to make whether I want to have to worry about this. How long is this open for? 2 weeks? So it'll be another 2 weeks of slogging through various things. We could see if it's even possible. It is unclear, but it is cool that we have a soul that we can go for because if we got this soul on our Zinogre Blade Master, she would easily become the best champion on the account, best for just about any boss. Let's can we do it from here? So here's where we are. 85 fragments, 5 for Drexthar, moving at glacial speed. We got 3 fragments for Archmage Helmut. But Zinogre Blade Master, she has the Leech and the decrease attack. And we want this for Clan Boss. So she's going to be important because I want to put her on our most important team, which is Clan Boss. She probably can make a very good stun target because of this. If she gets fatally hit, prevents her death, and instead puts her at 50% HP. She'd probably be stunned, but we can figure that out. Speed in dungeons, that'd be helpful in dungeons. Increased speed, I think this is just on herself. No, it's all allies. Wow. That's even better than I remembered. And of course, she's got the weaken. So if you didn't start with a Thel, now you have somebody that can place weaken. Although 30% chance on each hit, and you can't even increase this. So 30%, 30%, 30%. I think that compounds to about a 65% chance of placing a weaken on her A1. Why is her A1 weaker than a Thel's A1, Plarium? Not that I'm suggesting you nerf a Thel's A1, because I really like a Thel for that reason. A Thel has such a good A1. Ridiculously good A1. We also have a summon pool available. So now we're really off the rails. I'm not even doing a best start guide thing right now because we're just sort of going over what have we got? We've got this other Blade Master, the Archer. She's great. Honestly, I would love to pull her. What do we have? 10 of these? We need 25. I don't know if we'll get any. But if we do, we will pull for these champions. We actually literally don't have a choice because anytime these events end, it automatically pulls these fragments, these shards, down to whatever fraction you have. So it'd be 10 out of 25 for us now. That'd just carry over until we actually can use something. Fragment summons. Yep. So um, let's have a look at the crypt. Why not? What crypt is open today? I I wish I'd been a little more patient and showed what we did with Dark Elf yesterday. We can't even look at it, but you see the 32 here. I pushed really, really hard with Kale, and I put, maybe it's easier just to show the champions, right? So we'll go to the champions. Here's what I did. I talked about doing it yesterday, but then I went ahead and did it. I put Spirit Host in a shield set favoring HP percent, so that basically this tripled her HP. She's up at 16,000, which is not impressive for an endgame player, but man, it was really, really good at covering the rest of the party because the shield set puts out 30% of her HP. So 30% of 16 it's about what her HP is. So she's basically taking her HP and she's adding it to all the other little mini champions. So you have like a naked Redeemer here. She's basically doubling in hit points just because of the shield that was on her. And this one's an even lower level. I think they were the only two that were in there, and I think there's an even lower level champion that was in. I have these Redeemers everywhere. Um, and I even do this on my main account. Redeemer is just my favorite one to stock up on. So I have like close to I don't even know how many Redeemers I've got now, but they're all like level 40 and they just sort of sit there. But basically, what you should do, if you started with Kale, you could make it Redeemer, you could make it this one, Mage Killer, just somebody that's a dark elf, because you can fill out your faction wars team with food. Just leave the food in there. And if you're pushing dark elf and you only have two good dark elves, and really we just have two. We have Kale and we have Spirit Host. Oh, I said I'd show you guys Kale too. We should look at Kale. So here's Kale. Here's where he's at. This is the Kale that basically solos Spider. We could even favorite him and say he's a favorite. Kale's my favorite. He's not necessarily literally my favorite of all the champions, but honestly, we use him so much. He's a favorite. Apothecary, he's a favorite. Diabolist, she's a favorite. You get the idea. Um, and Shield Guard. Yeah. Here, I'm gonna pick 5 favorites right now. These are favorites. I love these guys. I really love them. So with Kale, see this really high crit damage amount? That's because he's got crit damage gauntlets. I even managed to pull crit damage as the Ascension thing, but I don't have that much away of potions, so I can't get in the extra 20% crit damage yet to get it to a full 100 crit damage. But 82% crit damage on the gauntlets. There's no crit rate on the gauntlets. That's kind of my one thing that I don't love about this particular piece. But it'd be a perfect piece if it had any crit rate on it. Without that, it's still okay. If you look at my total stats for a minute, 67% is where we're at for crit rate. If I'm farming an area that is predominantly spirit, this jumps to 83. Am I doing the math right? 82. It jumps to 82%. And when he uses his, what's it called? The acid rain, he gets an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. So what he's doing at that point is he's doing 97%. So basically his big nuke has a 97% crit rate against spirit champions. Ideally, I'd like to get this number to 100% all the time. Towards the end game, you want to get the crit damage up to a number closer to 250%. But anything over 100% is amazing in the early game. And I managed to get it to damn near 160 because of the crit damage gauntlets. Otherwise, if you use crit rate, and I don't have crit damage here. The amulet, sometimes you get a crit damage. Oh my God, I have a crit damage amulet. That's amazing. I got to roll this up now. How high can I roll this up before it wipes out our silver? Could I reach 12? Oh my goodness, only just. But here, I probably want to use that. The crit damage is only going up by about 11 because there is a little bit of crit damage cooked into this already. And I'm losing accuracy. I'm really tempted to make the change anyway, though, just because bringing this crit damage even higher, that's just a little more damage, but he's got to have accuracy. Best place to find accuracy is the banner, and that's not an accuracy banner. Wouldn't that have been cool if it turned out we also got an accuracy banner? I also don't love that they're uncommon because you have less substats to go with, and we got the crappiest substat here um, to get the +1 to it. But we did get accuracy popping out of it. That's cool. We could even upgrade it and put a little glyph on everything. The accuracy glyphs. I've already got that on, I think, everything that had accuracy on it. I don't have a lot of accuracy on any of this gear, come to think of it. Here's a +1. This is what it's like at the start of the game, right? You get a bunch of +1s. I mean, like, this is a triple speed roll, which is practically unheard of at the start of the game. It's granted, it's only on a 4-star helmet, so it's not like this is even an end game piece of gear, but it's still nice to see these triple speed rolls popping out. We got a double crit rate roll here. So this is the Kale with these stats. So if you could get anywhere close to these stats, you probably don't even need this much crit damage to do it. You just need to make sure he's good and fast. I think the fact that he's running at 180 speed, really anything above 150 speed, because the spiderlings I think run at 150. So you really want to be running faster than the spiderlings because if they get multiple turns against you, it can be rough. But the saving grace, I mean, you saw the run. The saving grace is that this guy keeps getting back up. He just would not stop getting back up because he's got this. It revives him basically after 3 turns. 3 turns after they were killed. And basically every spiderling taking a turn, that's a turn. So it means that even when he's dead, and the spider then hits Kale and puts a poison on him, another spiderling hits Kale, puts a poison on him, and then this guy gets back up. And now the spiderlings are just going to start to hit him. And as long as Kale's reasonably fast, he's going to take his turn before there's too much poison on him anyway. And every time he hits a bunch of spiders, because of his lifesteal, he's just going to suck back all of his health. So Kale's basically invincible. That's why this never fails in Spider10. So basically, if you started with Kale, I don't know if this is going to be true of the other starters, but I assume it is. So honestly, regardless of what starter you have, maybe you started with. See, are they here or did I put them away? I actually started putting champions in the vaults just because I was running out of space for summoning. And of course, I can even isolate like this. I go like rares, magic rares, hide. Okay, so here we go. They're all here now. Let's say you started with a Thel. Well, she's got the triple hitter with the weaken. She can cycle through her turns more quickly with this, and she can even self-buff with an increased defense. That can help kind of survive against the spiderlings. If you have any kind of regen cooked into her kit, she basically gets to double it because every time she gets an extra turn, that's one more chance for like immortal gear or regen gear to pop in. But I'd say you probably still want her in lifesteal, but if you had just a little bit of immortal, that might help mitigate the poisons if they're coming in. So I think basically a Thel with the same thresholds would have no problem surviving. Um, Elhain has even more area of effect attacks. So if you started with Elhain, you've got this, which attacks all enemies. You got this, which attacks once and then all enemies. You've got an even better chance of sucking back all your health. So honestly, Elhain might actually be the GOAT when it comes to Spider. She might be better because I think Spider actually takes reduced damage from poisons anyway, kind of limiting the advantage that Kale has, and meaning that maybe Athel is the one that has the better advantage because she's at least placing this weaken, so you can then do more damage quickly. Athel, of course, has no debuffs at all, so basically you just want to build her with 100% crit rate because if she only gets one hit off her A1, it's the worst A1 of the 4. But if you get 100% crit, so you just max out her crit rate. This is what I did was just, I didn't even really care about her. I just run her in Faction Wars. Like really, really low levels of Faction Wars. But basically, at 100% crit rate, this getting 2 hits, she out damages all of the others. But she under damages the others if she doesn't have the critical hit. So basically, and I don't even know where exactly it is in terms of crit rate where the damage equalizes. It might be that at about say 65% crit rate, she's doing about the same amount of damage as the others. But anyway, if you had Galek, Galek is the one I'm least familiar with. Like a lot of people just don't think about Galek, but he does put speed on himself. That could really help you. So even with Galek, you're increasing your own speed, so you're going faster relative to the spiders. You're getting the decreased defense placed in lots of places, and that's going to help enhance damage too. So honestly, regardless of your starter, regardless of which of the 4 you chose, I think you'd be absolutely fine if you get stats even approaching these, particularly the speed. I think the speed stat is the most important one to note. And then you just want to be a 6, you want to be tough. A lot of the damage popping out is coming from this one. Basically, War Master's where it's at. If you have Elhain, Galek, or Kale, you want War Master. If you have a Thel, Giant Slayer. This is the one for a Thel, or anybody else that has a triple hitter. So, like on our team, we have Apothecary, and he's probably going to be one of my first five sixes. Honestly, he's so good that he's probably worth putting there, and he'd probably end up with Giant Slayer, unless I want to get him Timely Intervention or something else to just make him a little better at the support role. But anybody that's got a triple hitter on their A1, Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer's amazing for the likes of Apothecary and Athel. Who else? Who else have I been using that would be true for? I mean, we're right now we're only looking at magic rares. I have an astonishing number of magic rares now that I think of it. It's actually kind of cool. So, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're already beyond the 1 hour mark. I'm already running over, so I guess I better wrap this video up. So I want to talk more about the faction wars thing. Like I've changed stuff for faction wars. I'm going to put a little arrow here just to remind myself that tomorrow, a little exclamation mark. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about what I've done for each faction. Because when I started stashing champions in the was I supposed to update this as well? I think I was supposed to update this. I found a fourth ancient in the market as well, and you can see I got four sitting there at the summon portal waiting to be summoned. Don't know when I'm going to summon those yet. I have no idea because I think at this point it would behoove us to be patient and wait because we have stuff to build now. We may have everything we need between Zinogre Blade Master, Rathalos Blade Master, Kale Apothecary, and I don't know, maybe Djamarsa if we get Djamarsa. So, that'll be the next episode. For now, I'm going to sign off. I'm just going to say one last time, if you're thinking of starting a new account, you could go ahead and help a brother out. Use my link. It'd help me get Djamarsa. You could also join the BeanieBabies, and there's going to be a link to that below. Brand new clan. If you happen to not be familiar with Beanie Senpai, he's a great content creator. He's got a lot of charisma. Um, uh, he's been in my clan cluster for a while, but I really didn't get to see his face until like a couple weeks ago. But he's been creating content on Twitch for a while, so it's not like he's brand new to content creation either. He's just new to me as a content creator. But anyway, as always, thanks for stopping by. See you on the next video. Take care.